Magical resistance. Witches plan to cast midnight spell to bind President Trump. In other words, they're going to have a witches' coven at midnight to cast a curse and a spell, binding him to make him do whatever they want. Because the political climate isn't strange enough already, this is happening. Witches around the world, worldwide, are planning a mass ritual binding spell against Trump and all those who abet him, in what is possibly the most bizarre protest against the president so far. But hey, it's still early. You might be wondering exactly what the heck a binding spell is. I sure was. Michael M. Hughes, who writes about the paranormal, explains the spell on Extra Newsfeed as this. Binding spells, or de fictiones, are some of the oldest in the historical record and are nearly universal in the world's magical systems. In this document, binding, which seeks to restrain someone from doing harm, well, it's not just that. It's not just from restraining someone from doing harm. You can also do it to cast a spell on him to do anything you want him to do. It's differentiating from cursing or hexing, which is meant to inflict harm or on the targets. It is understood in this context that binding does not generate the potential negative blowback from cursing, hexing, crossing, nor does it harm the caster's karma. Well, then why are they doing this covenant at midnight to bind him? What for? Of course it's evil, and of course it is harmful, because anything having to do with magic has to do with the devil, and the devil only harms. And if it's possible, he even kills. In other words, it's not, as the article goes on to say, it's not the equivalent of magical punching a Nazi. Rather, it is the ripping the bullhorn from his hands, smashing his phone so he can't tweet, tying him up, and throwing him in a dark basement where he can't hurt anyone. Well, this is what the article says, but I disagree. In that it's more punishing, more threatening, more evil and deadly. Quote, "This I consider to be primarily a self-defense measure," end quote, Hughes told the Daily News, adding, "So many of us are just overwhelmed with the assaults on civil liberties, immigrants, the environment. This felt like a way to reclaim our power and say, we have power over you. You don't have power over us." Okay, so this shows how the liberal leftists think. They will use satanic powers on people, even the President of the United States. That's very clearly shows where they're at. We have power over you. Yes, we have the power of Satan over you. That's what they're saying with this article. That's what they're trying to say, as Hughes told the Daily News. Hughes also talked to Huffington Post about the spell, and he said, "It's a restraint, not harm. I see it as a self-defense," end quote. That's what he said. Well, of course, because if he was to explain that it's also harmful, they would be criminal, obviously. Hughes doesn't want to end up with a criminal charge against him. It's just a restraint. It's just a binding. It's nothing much. You're just thrown in the basement, in the dark basement for the whole of your life where you can't hurt anyone. No, it's not that. It's having to do with satanic powers. The only way that you can protect yourself from satanic powers and the binding from witches and warlocks, Satanists and Luciferians is if you're in the sacraments of the Holy Church, of Holy Confession and Holy Communion. That's why Jesus Christ was born, in order to give us, after his crucifixion and resurrection, the Holy Eucharist when he established the church on earth. It was to protect us from things like this. It's not just harming. It's not just binding. It's very harmful, because the devil wants to kill whoever it can get its hands on. And he uses instruments like organs, his slaves, to harm other people. So Hughes, of course, does not want to get charged with criminal assault of any kind, calling on people to pray for harm coming to the president. So he says, it's just a restraint, it's not harm. Well, he's a liar. everybody that works for the witches and warlocks and Luciferians and Satanists are liars. He added that the spell has a satirical element, but insists that it doesn't invalidate it. If people feel more empowered or less beaten down, that's valid, he says. Quote, I'm okay with people calling it a stunt. The spell can still be effective. I think it's already working. Some Christian groups are calling for a day of prayer to counteract the spell. Good for the Christians. That's magic right there. When people do a ritual, that's changing consciousness. No, Christians do not perform magic. Satanists perform magic. Christians do not perform magic. No, Christians are trying to re-enter paradise from where Adam and Eve were expelled. In other words, they're trying to regain their divine union with the Godhead, the triune God. That's their true home. That's not magic. Going back to the article, according to the organizers, the spell, quote unquote, is scheduled to be performed at the stroke of midnight EST on Friday, February 24th. That's yesterday. And again on waning crescent moon ritual days until Trump leaves office. Well, that's just fine. That's exactly what the witches and warlocks do on their covens. It's on crescent moons, waning moons, whatever, having to do with moons. Mark your calendars, it says, if you so incline. The next few days are March 26th, April 24th, May 23rd, June 21st. From Extra Newsfeed, it says, to be performed at midnight on every waning crescent moon until he is removed from office. The first ritual takes place Friday evening, February 24th at the stroke of midnight. The binding spell is open source and may be modified. Well, okay, I'm not going to. The critical elements are the simultaneously of the working midnight Mar-a-Lago and Trump Tower, New York City, and the mass energy of participants. The list of items needed to cast a spell, they say, include a unflattering photo of Trump. They recommend the image below. A tarot card, a piece of an orange candle, or a piece of a baby carrot, a feather, salt, matches, or a lighter, fool's gold, sulfur, black thread, and a pin or a nail. Of course, because they're going to start pinning Trump with the nail. And if Trump wants to protect himself, he has to go into the sacraments. Because whoever is not in the sacraments, most likely, of course, will be affected by this satanic power. Now, the hashtags and Bind Trump Magic Resistance February 24th are being used to discuss the event. Marcus Peterson tweeted here, used to think witchcraft was hooey, but now I'm looking for orange candles and tarot cards on Amazon. That's terrible. Me, I don't believe in witchcraft. News, witches worldwide are planning to cast a spell on President Donald Trump. Me. So you can see all the idiots, liberal leftists that state that they've got great power are using satanic magic spells. And of course, we all know that these were used from ancient years. That's how, and they were using them because they were effective. People didn't at that time have any protection. The protection is the mysteries, the sacraments that our Lord Jesus Christ left us with his church. We know that very well in the Orthodox Christian Church. Just today, before I saw this article here on the Daily Sheep, I'll leave a link below for you, I was discussing with the priest monk that I'm a driver for the priest monk of our church. We were discussing some lady left something for the priest to take home and eat. He says, I told you, I never ever take things that ladies leave for me or whoever leaves for me. You can just give it to the people there when you have coffee or tea next time. And I never ever will take home anything that anybody gives me. Specifically tells you to give only to me. Because he knows that a lot of people try and bind priests magically with magic. Black magic, white magic, orange, blue, or yellow magic. White magic, it's all magic, it's all satanical. And he explained to me that one of the things they do, for example, women, I have to say this because it's binding, is that they will give their, excuse me, some men may find this very revolting, but I have to say, so you can protect yourself, you know that this is going on, is that women will take their blood from their period and sprinkle it in food that they give to people, especially men who they want to bind. And usually this is done for sexual successes. If they want to destroy a priest, for example, by making him have a love affair, or an erotic escapade with somebody, or a married man, destroying his family, making him have an affair with another woman, the woman that puts this, her blood in his food. This is black magic. This is another way of binding somebody, and this is the only way you can protect yourself is by, of course, a lot of other people praying for you, but you have to care for yourself, for your own soul as well. We have the weapons. We have the weapons. It's just that most people are not aware how to use these weapons. And, we're very knowledgeable of them in the Orthodox Christian Church. I asked the priest, I said, how do you know about it? Where did you learn about this? He said, I learned about it from other women in confession. They come and tell me what damage they have, that has been done to them by other people doing things like this to them. Okay, that's what I just, because of the fact that we're touching this magical binding issue, that's why I wanted to tell you that as well, which is fact. This is fact, so you could be aware of it. So hopefully we'll pray every day of our lives. We will be praying for the President of the United States, Donald Trump, because he's busting Satan's plan. It's like, when a woman does a crochet with her needle, and the crochet, let's say the person crocheting is the devil, okay? Well, we Christians undo the devil's plans, his schemes. We'll do anything we can to throw a wrench in his gears to stop him or to delay him. That's it. That's what we're doing. Okay. God bless you all, and God bless President Trump and protect him. This is on the Daily Sheeple. I'll leave a link below for you for this.